Okay, I'd like to start the meeting, our second meeting of the Coalinga City Council. First of all, we'll call the call to order, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. And if everybody's okay with it, I'm gonna stay seated just because of my back right now. And I'm not disrespecting the flag at all. No. Okay. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There's not necessarily any changes, but item 6.1 is the reorganization of the council. And since we don't have a seated mayor, since former Mayor Lander is no longer on the council, it would be appropriate to move that to the beginning of the agenda and just do it as item 2.1.
Council, is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, there's a consensus that's okay, so we'll put that 6.1 at the
2.1.
2.1, okay,
It'll-
2.1.
I'm sorry, I just realized that would make it before citizens' comments. So maybe we could do it right after citizens' comments.
Okay, we'll do it right after that, 6.1, just before the public hearing. Okay, do I have an approval of the agenda?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Singleton,
Aye.
Councilman Atkinson,
Aye.
Councilman Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilman Horn,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramsey.
Aye, thank you. Awards presentation, appointments and proclamations, we have none. Citizens' comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the city council on any item within the jurisdiction of the council. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern, identify themselves, use the microphone. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes. In accordance with state open meeting laws, no action will be taken by the city council this evening, and all items will be referred to staff for a follow-up report. Do we have anybody?
I have two, and then I believe Mercedes has a few that were submitted earlier, and then there may be some online. For the two that I have, one is from Mary Jones. She wanted to let everyone know that there is a Verdun family balloon memorial that was tonight at 6. And then it reads, I wanted to let Mr. Ramsey and Mr. Singleton know my thoughts and that I and many others would like to have Atkinson named as mayor. His involvement and commitment has been valuable to Coalinga. Could you please relay my thoughts for me or just show them my message? And then I have one more that was submitted from Deanna Lander that states, I would like to request Ron Ramsey to be appointed to mayor and Ray for mayor pro tem. I don't know how to send requests across. Also, I'd like to let Ron Lander know we appreciate all the hours he spent for the city for the last 20 plus years.
So I do have 3 people that would like to speak, and then I have the citizens' comments that were sent in. Which do you prefer to do?
Do the citizens' comments first.
So this comment is from Robin R.R. Scott, 4272. Hello, I hope you all are well, safe, and practicing good safety standards. I am emailing to say that while I understand and realize it's the council that decides who will be named the new mayor, I feel the people should have the say in who represents and leads our city. I am proud to say that I trust and believe my district councilman, Adam Atkinson, is the best choice and only choice for mayor. He has proven himself time and time again to want what is best for Coalinga and its people, and he's not afraid to stand up and speak for our rights, our needs, and our visions of Coalinga's potential. The time for change has come. We don't want more of the same. We want to grow and flourish. We want our mayor to be a mayor of the people, for the people, and chosen by the people. Please vote for Councilman Atkinson. In closing, I want to congratulate my friend Jim Horn and Mr. Manny Ramirez on their successful campaigns for City Council. I'd also like to say that along with many others, looking forward to a united civil council who will work together for the betterment of Coalinga and not for their own personal agendas. This is not a high school forum. I believe that the councilwoman's long-awaited departure will allow that to happen. Council should not be using their positions to carry out personal vendettas, period. Sincerely, Robin Scott. This comment is from Karen Franks. Please consider voting for Adam Atkinson for mayor. From the beginning, he has been available to the public. He answers questions posed to him by the public. If he doesn't know the answer, he finds it. He supports small businesses. He's not afraid to step on some toes to get the attention Coalinga needs. I've not seen one other council member putting information out on social media other than him. We need someone like Adam representing Coalinga. Chris Wallace says to council members and citizens of Coalinga, I'm writing today to show my support for Councilman Atkinson for mayor. In his last couple of years on the council, he has proven to be very productive, asset to our community. He was a strong voice and advocate for our town. He has stood up to the draconian laws handed down by the heavy-handed governor. He has helped our city out of debt. He is always available to citizens who have questions or concerns and is quick to try to find an answer. I realize the controversial way the council meetings have went in the past, but I do believe the instigator of that mess is gone. We may be headed to dark days in this country and therefore our city. We need someone strong that cares about this community, someone that is not afraid to pull us through and lead us in the right direction. Thank you for taking the time to let me voice my opinion. Chris Wallace. Dear City Council, I'm writing today to share this is from Jody Kessler. I'm writing today to share my thoughts on who I feel would be a wonderful pick for mayor. I believe Adam Atkinson would do a great job as mayor. Adam has done and continues to do so much for our community. Anytime there is a question asked, whether in his district or not, he is always willing to answer or to get an answer for the citizens. Adam is there for us. It shows in everything he does for the citizens daily. I believe Adam would continue to do so much more for our community if given the chance. Thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully, Richard and Jody Kessler. This comment is from Laura Taylor. To all City of Coalinga council members, I understand the mayor and mayor pro tem are up for reappointment at tonight's city council meeting. I am aware the council selects the individual from council to fill these positions and not the Coalinga residents. However, I appreciate having my voice heard and taken into consideration. I know I am not alone when I say that Adam Atkinson would not only be the perfect candidate for mayor, he deserves it. He has always made himself available to all of the Coalinga citizens, regardless of what district they reside. He works hard for this city. With his active and ongoing involvement with the Canine Foundation, City Improvement and Growth, and other often reaches out and seeks input from community and open forums like social media to gain a better perspective and idea of what our citizens want to see happen for Coalinga. He cares about this town and the people who live here. In my humble opinion, that is what a mayor is supposed to do and be for his community. I hope you will take Adam Atkinson into serious consideration and select him as our new mayor. Please forgive the late submissions of this email. Respectfully, Laura Taylor, Coalinga resident. This comment is from Trevor Morris. While While certain city council members perform on social media in the comforts of their home, others are out spending many hours performing their duties. Unfortunately, the majority of citizens only are aware of what they see social media. Mayor Pro Tem Ramsey is one of the council members who is out working very hard for the community and spends little to no time on social media. However, he is unparalleled choice to serve as mayor for countless reasons. Never before has it been more important to have his decades of knowledge and leadership. I ask the council give great consideration to these facts and not be misled otherwise. This comment is from Rebecca Lynn. I am in District 4 and I have lived in Coalinga for 43 years, and I really would like the city council to nominate and vote in Adam Atkinson because he is the best choice. And that opinion is based on everything that I've seen him proactively, publicly do while he has been a city council member. I think it's very important for us to consider his experience and the fact that he has teenage children, and so he really cares about the future of Coalinga. He has gone to bat for us as a city against the state of California, and he has done things for our city and had ideas that were just amazing and that would benefit me as a parent of 4 teenagers, along with all of other citizens of Coalinga. He's already proven over this time of being on city council that he's willing to do whatever it takes to make Coalinga prosper. So if there is something to be read to the city council members, this is the email that I would like to be read to them. Thank you, Rebecca Howard. This email is from Tara Davis. Good afternoon. One moment. I vote Adam Atkinson for mayor. He is involved and in touch with the citizens of Coalinga. Tara Davis. Sorry, there was a lot of communication. This is from Trevor Morris. Dear council members, it was recently brought to my attention that a council member is seeking the position of mayor or mayor pro tem is currently under investigation for certain acts and violations where he has led the city to a potential catastrophic lawsuit. In the event council knows this to be a fact, I ask you to take that as well as other bad behavior you've been well subjected to or have witnessed into consideration before giving any thought into giving him a promotion. To all City of Coalinga council members. Oh, this is from Laura Taylor. I understand the mayor and mayor pro tem are up for reappointment at tonight's meeting. Did I already read that
I
one?
think you already read that one.
I have one more. This is from Lourdes Torres. Hi, I would like to vote for Adam Atkinson for new city mayor. And then I have 4 that want to make comments that are using the raise your hand feature.
Okay, who is the first one?
This is Mary.
Mary, are you there?
Just
Third one down, I think, on the other one.
Yeah, third one down the first list.
On the first list, there was a third one.
Third one down.
Up,
Third one from the top.
third one, right there, down one more, right there.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't see the little button. My screen was messed up. I apologize. Thank you very much for reading my thing, Marissa. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I was outside the meeting this evening and I was very frustrated because the link, number one, it wouldn't even come up on the screen. And I have it on authority that I'm not the only person that could not get into the meeting because the link that you push on was not working. You have to type it in letter by letter, and I didn't have access to that because my phone wouldn't open on my phone. So although I was there taking pictures, I could not access the meeting until the second meeting started, and Ben Kahikina came over and sent me the link. I tried to tell Mercedes, she knew there was a problem, but no effort was made to communicate with me. I made a phone call during the gap between meetings and wasn't able to reach anyone. I asked the policeman at the door if I could give him a message, and he said he couldn't come close because, you know, the 6 feet rule, even through glass. So I was a very, very, very frustrated person this evening. And I would highly urge that things like links being functional would be checked prior to a meeting, because I'm absolutely certain, like I said, I'm not the only person who could not access the meeting. So please have somebody look into that. I know you have the staff to do that, and I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that all then? Thank you. Who's next?
You need
Mary's still on too.
Should we go, or is there an order?
Me?
Now Nathan's on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Nathan, go ahead.
All right. So Nathan Vosberg, District 3. I want to say thank you to all the outgoing council members. Ron Lander for his 27 to 30 years worth of service. Did a great job. Really appreciate everything he did. Tanya Stoltz, we had a great 2 years when we were on council. Appreciate everything that she did as well. My dad, James Vosberg, outgoing treasurer, really appreciate him stepping up to the plate and doing that. I just want to let everyone know that I wish that we could meet in public so that we could show some of our, faces to you guys and whatnot. I know that that's not capable right now, but I did want to express my support for Mayor, for Adam Atkinson. I did an unofficial poll on Facebook where 249 people voted. 149 voted for Adam. 48 voted for Jim Horn. Ron Ramsey had 29. Manny Ramirez had 21. And Ray Singleton had 12. At some point in time, I plan on putting a referendum initiative on to change the way that council selects the mayor, and I'm pretty positive that it's going to go through and the people will vote for it. But in the meantime, I'm really hoping that you guys take Adam into consideration. If not for mayor, at least for Mayor Pro Tem. He deserves it. like everyone else has said, he's put himself out there. I really enjoy all the rest of the council members as well. And so I just think that Adam has done a lot, and he's done up and above and beyond. But beyond that, you guys have a really good chance to have some unity here and to work together. And I think you guys will. And if I had some advice for the new council members, it would be, don't be afraid to shake the apple cart. Don't tip it over, but don't be afraid to shake it. Make sure that you stay who you are. That's how you got elected. You be you. Make sure that you fight for your districts, and make sure that you guys work together as a team in order to get things done, and utilize that wonderful city manager and staff that you guys have. And thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Do we have two more? Okay, thank you.
Should we go?
Anthony, go ahead.
All right. Good evening. My name is Anthony Lopez. I am the city manager for the city of Avenal. Company here with Alvaro Preciado, mayor for the city of Avenal. It's on my behalf. I want to congratulate the new city council members, and looking forward to working with all of you, and of course with our council as well. And I'll hand it over to Mayor Preciado. I know he'd like to say a few more things.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alvaro Preciado, and I would like to thank you for giving us the time to address council. First of all, I would like to give my condolences and sympathy to the two families that suffered the loss of family members in the tragic accidents on New Year's Day. I believe the family is Pulido Verdin, and also the grandparents, Juventino Verdin and his wife, Olivia Verdin, and the family of Verdin Ayala. Buenas noches, le quería dar mi más sentido pésame a la familia que sufrieron la pérdida de sus familiares en enero 1 cerca de aquí de Avenal. Quiero dar mis simpatía y más sentido pésame a la familia Pulido Verdín y también a la familia Verdín Ayala y a sus abuelos Juventino Verdín y su esposa Olivia Verdín. I also would like to congratulate outgoing council members, Mayor Ron Lancy. When I first came to work at the city in '95, he was the mayor at that time. And all this time, I've been working with him along many other issues. And I also would like to give Tanya Stolz a great thanks for stepping forward and being part of City Council for the city of Coalinga, working together and looking out for the community. I also would like to congratulate the new council members elected, James Horn and Manny Ramirez. Looking forward to work together with council as a whole. And I want to just give you guys, say thank you for the opportunity for let us address council. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have one more, right?
Barbara, you have been unmuted.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. This is Barbara Rodriguez. I'm District 3. I just wanted to get on here and say that since I've started attending council meetings and Adam has been elected to the council, that man has been more active as far as anything I can see than any other council member has been in this community. He's out there. He's very proactive. He thinks of things that for our city, asks for agenda items. I would very much like to see him probably punished for all of his hard work by being mayor, because I'm sure that that's probably not an easy task, but hey. I would also like to see Ron as the mayor pro tem, because I feel like Ron has a lot of experience that he can share with Adam and kind of, grow Adam further, from, the bottom up, if you will. So those are my thoughts. I thank the other Ron for all, because now I'm confused by which Ron is which Ron. Sheesh. Anyway, thank you for all the years that you've given this city, and I appreciate everything you've done. Congratulations to the new council members, James and Manny, and y'all have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara. Is that all? Is there any more at all?
There's no others to speak at this time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll go to item 6.1, discussion and direction and potential action items regarding of the reorganization of the city council.
Before you guys do that, can I just get the consensus that everyone will be okay for the purposes of this meeting? Once you guys nominate a mayor and a mayor pro tem, we'll stick the titles next to the name, but nobody will get up and move seats, and just run that whoever's elected mayor will run the meeting from their current seat tonight, just so that people aren't exchanging germs. And then we'll have it set up for the next meeting if everyone's okay with that.
Yes. Okay, I guess I'll open, we'll start with the mayor because that he can run the meeting. Start with the nominations for the mayor.
I have a motion for Ron Ramsey as mayor.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any other motions?
I'll motion pro tem, mayor.
No,
No.
just a second.
Not really second.
Yeah. Okay, is there any more motions for mayor? And it's been seconded? Roll call vote, please.
Aye.
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 I just want to say real quick, I just want to thank everyone for saying those kind words for me. No one sees everything that we do up there, every single one of us. So it's always nice when people call in and take the time to say things about you. The way we do it here in Coalinga is the council picks the mayor. It's unfortunate, in my opinion, that the council picks the mayor. I think the people should. Hopefully we can get that done one day. But going forward, this is the way it's done. Ron Ramsey's been nominated. He's got the vote, so I also vote aye as well.
Councilman Ramsey.
I vote aye. Thank you very much. Thank you guys, everything. Just like Adam was saying, I go, everybody sees different people a lot, and Adam and I can get along. And I think everybody here is going to be working really good together. And I've learned some stuff from Adam. He's learned some stuff from me. So I know we're still going to work together, and we'll be partners just with everybody here. So thank you very much for all your concerns and everything, and thank you. Okay, next we'll go to Mayor Pro Tem. Any nominations?
I make a motion to nominate myself as pro tem.
I'll make a motion for that.
Is that a second then?
Just a second.
Is there any other nominations? Is there any second?
I motion for Mr. Adam Atkins.
Is there a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second for Jim Horn. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Horn.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramirez.
Aye.
Councilmember Singleton.
No.
Councilmember Atkinson.
No.
Councilmember Mayor Ramsey.
That's what's being hard as the mayor. You got to make a decision. And so I vote aye. Okay, so congratulations, Mr. Horn. Okay, next we'll go to, we'll hold on for a minute. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go to public hearings. Consideration and adoption of resolution 3993, changing the 100 block of West Durian to Lander Lane. Sean Brewer?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, great. Well, hope everybody had a great holiday and Happy New Year. And we'll start off with the first item. This is a continuation from the November 19th meeting in terms of a public hearing for the recommendation that staff has no recommendation on. But this is an item requested by the City Council to consider adoption of 3993 at a notice public hearing that would change the 100 block of West Durian Avenue to Lander Lane. At November 5th, 2020, City Council meeting, Councilman Atkinson had asked the council to consider the renaming the 100 block of West Durian between 5th and 6th Streets to Lander Lane based on Mayor Lander's service and dedication to the city of Coalinga. At that meeting, the City Council directed staff to post public hearing notices prescribed in the municipal code and mail notices to affected businesses within the 100 block of West Durian Avenue. Staff prepared the appropriate public notices and mailed and posted as directed on Thursday, November 19th. The City Council opened the public hearing at the regular meeting on December 3rd and continued the public hearing to tonight, January 7th. So I do have some additional details in the discussion of the staff report. I know we went through this at the previous meeting, and just kind of a direction and potential action for the council is that the council shall conduct the hearing and consider the proposal. Any person may address the council for the purpose of giving additional comments on the naming or renaming of the city street under consideration, including submittal of a name or names other than that name proposed. The City Council may approve the name proposed, refer to alternative name back to the city manager or his designee for consideration, or decide not to rename the city street. If the City Council chooses to adopt Resolution 3993, the city manager shall notify the police department, the fire department, the postal service, the Fresno County assessors, and all affected governmental agencies and city departments, and the city clerk shall promptly send a certified copy of the resolution to the Fresno County Board of Supervisors. Once complete, the Public Works Director shall procure and install new street signs on the named or renamed street. So in terms of fiscal impact, from what we can see is that there's approximately $123 for the placement of the signs. The costs associated with updating all of the city's materials are unknown. This would include, but not limited to, business cards, letterhead, envelopes, staff time to change addresses with vendors, payees, website, utility billing, etc. This cost would be unbudgeted, but minimal enough that it can be absorbed into the budget. It would be street fund expense. However, other costs would be encumbered by the general fund. So with that, the resolution is before you and for consideration. So again, Mayor, this is the public hearing. So I think the public hearing, and I have to confirm with Mario, but I think the public hearing has been continued to be open. So you can proceed with public comment and discussion.
Okay, anything from council? Adam, you brought this up, so.
Yeah, this is going to be too much of a hardship on a couple of people across the way, so I'd like to withdraw this.
Anything else? Okay, do I still keep the public hearing open, or?
It really is up to council. Yeah, if Councilman Atkins is going to withdraw it, it does need it because it's already on and it's on for a public
So
hearing.
we'll give, if anybody wants to say anything, we'll give them a chance to say something, and then we'll just make our decision from there. Is that correct?
Unless the council wants to decide now that it's just going to be pulled. If the council's still going to consider it, then the public hearing needs to go forward. But if there's enough council people to say right now that we agree with Councilman Atkinson, we're going to not consider this item, then that can be done now without the public hearing.
Okay, council? Yeah, he's right. I've gotten about 3 or 4 phone calls on it myself, and it's not people in Ron's district or Adam's district or anything. It's been people just all over town, so, and I agree with that. So I guess we pulled it.
You will need a motion, so there's a motion to withdraw from Councilman Atkinson, so there needs to be a
I'll
second to
second
the
the
motion.
motion.
Is there a second? Okay.
Yeah.
Roll call, please. And since the hearing was already open, should I go ahead and close the hearing? Because the hearing was open at the other meeting and.
Yeah, so the motion would technically be to close the public hearing and withdraw the item.
Is that your motion? And your
Yes,
second?
to withdraw. I'll make the motion to withdraw it. That's all I need, right?
And to close the hearing.
Yeah, and close the hearing.
And that your second?
Yes, second.
Okay. Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Councilman Atkinson,
Aye.
Councilman Singleton,
Aye.
Councilman Ramirez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Horn. Mayor Ramsey.
I vote aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, now we have consent calendar. We have $16 items. Approval of minutes for the December 3rd, 2020. Check register for November 1st to November 30th. Budget reports for quarterly ending September 30th, 2020, information only. Review of a report of Major J, quarter ending September 20th, 2020, information only. Revenue report on cannabis operations and quarterly ending September 30th, 2020, information only. Revenue report, transit occupancy tax for quarter ending September 30th, 2020, information only. Authorize city manager to sign and submit local transportation development funds for fiscal year 2019 to 2020. Consider a proposal of authorization to execute a task order with the city engineer, LSA, and MKN and Associates as a sub-consultant to undertake the design and construction of engineering of a new sewer lift station and force main at Las Gatas Creek, south of Gregory and Hannah Way. Number 9, adopt resolution SA 338, approving a professional service agreement between the successor agency to the Coalinga Redevelopment Agency and RSG Incorporated for continuing disclosed services for fiscal year 2021 to 25-26. Number 10, adopt resolution 3999, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with the United States Bureau of Reclamation to enter a long-term water supply contract. Number 11, approve engineer task to replace 2 existing pumps and update the power supply at existing La Cuesta sewer station. Number 12, approve contract for health policy and management consulting services with Health Management Associates and participating cities. Number 13, adopt Council Resolution 3998 and SA Resolution number SA 337, approving a bond expenditure agreement between the City of Coalinga and the Coalinga Successor Agency. Authorization to number 14, authorization to cancel contract with TJKM Consultants and proceed with a multi-jurisdictional local roadway safety plan with Fresno County of Governments. And further authorize the assistant city manager to send emails to Caltrans authorizing the transfer of grant funds from the city to Fresno COG, Fresno COG. Number 15, adopt resolution SA 339, approving the reorganization of the obligation payment schedule 21-22 for July 2021 through June 2022 and the fiscal year 2021 administrative budget. Number 16, decorative lights in plaza, information only. Is there anything anybody would like to pull?
7 and 13, please.
7 and 13?
Marissa, are you number 7? Is that gonna be you or is that gonna be Jasmine?
Both would be Jasmine.
All right, can you just go over it real quick and explain it to us?
Okay. Number 7 first?
Yes, Jasmine's logged in, so she'll be able to do that remotely.
Thank you, council and mayor. Congratulations to everybody and happy new year. And Adam, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Can you just kind of explain understand what all this is? It's got COG in it and all kinds of money involved, especially for the new guys, so they know what's going on.
Sure. So each year the city receives funding from Fresno County Council of Governments, and its sole purpose is for street rehabilitation, and it's also known as the TDA funds in our budgets. It's Fund 109 and 107, I believe. There's 2 sections of TDA funds. One is Article 3, which is for ADA improvements. And then there's another article, which is Article 8 funding, which is for street rehabilitation. The city also receives TDA funds for other purposes, as you see listed in the staff report under the background portion. So there's bicycle and pedestrian, which is the Article 3 funding that I spoke about. We also receive funds for regional transportation planning, which actually the city doesn't receive those funds. They actually stay with Fresno COG. We also receive Consolidated Transportation Services Agency, also known as CTSA. Those funds don't come directly to the city. They stay with Fresno COG. We receive streets and roads funding, which is the Article 8. Article 8, with those funds, the city directly receives them, and those are for street rehabilitation projects. And then there's funding that is allocated to the city, but it's for our transit operations, which is now administered by FCRTA, which stands for Fresno County Rural Transit Agency. And then a portion of our TDA funds goes to the county, Fresno County, per the MOU that we have when Pleasant Valley Prison was annexed into the city. So in the claim, the city's receiving a total of $830,554 of LTF funds for 1920. However, the city's only going to receive $663,816 directly to the city under the Article 3 and Article 8 for us to have local control over how we want to spend those funds. And so this happens on an annual basis. Every year when the claim forms come to us from Fresno COG, I put together the staff report and bring it before the council for their approval prior to the city manager being authorized to sign this claim form for us to claim those funds.
And is this my, sorry. Oh,
Sorry, you cut out?
sorry, I'm getting feedback. Microphone. Is this money already allocated to specific areas?
I believe through the budgeting process, we do allocate TDA funds to upcoming projects via either their local funded projects or their matching funds to grant funds that we receive for several, different projects that are already penciled in when we apply for those grants a few years ahead.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Also, could we pull number 10? Just, could you explain number 10 too? Because that's a new kind of contract that we're doing. I got some phone calls on that today.
Would you like me to do that one now, Ron?
Do you want to do that, Sean? Or I noticed that Dan Bergman's also on the call, so whatever your preference is.
Yeah, I can provide a little overview, and then if you have any additional question, Dan is on the phone that he would be able to answer any question. Do you have a specific question, Mayor, regarding the contract?
An explanation on it, yeah.
Okay. So the city first entered into a 40-year contract with the Bureau for Central Valley Water Project Water Supply back in 1968, and that ended in December 31st of 2008. And since 2008, the city has had to go into a series of interim renewal contracts with the Bureau of Reclamation for water on a 2-year basis. And so a second long-term contract has been delayed because USBR was unable to complete a successful programmatic environmental impact statement. Further, to avoid paying USBR 1.5 times the annual mitigation and restoration payments, the city entered into a special agreement with USBR in September of '97. This agreement stipulated the city's agreement to pay the higher amounts as soon as the environmental was completed, but it was never completed because of environmental interest groups. The overall result of having no environmental has been a series of these interim contracts. And so in 2016, the United States Congress provided an alternative approach through what they call the WIN Act, which is the Water Infrastructure Improvements for the Nation. This approach does not require environmental approval and provides for a contract in perpetuity. However, the WIN Act requires prepayment of outstanding construction cost obligations that is built into our cost per acre foot of water. That's part of our cost. The aspects of water service from USBR are the same as before. So the proposed long-term contract will provide water supply security for the city long-term into the future, as the contract has no termination date. The contract is also valuable because it demonstrates water supply stability to rating agencies and potential bond buyers, helping the city's credit ratings and ability to sell water system bonds, which is something we're going to be looking at relatively soon. Finally, obtaining a long-term contract will alleviate the administrative need to enter interim renewal contracts every 2 years. And to enter the new contract, the city must pay the remaining of the M&I construction costs allocated to the city by USBR. And it's a very convoluted process as we've gone through it. As of September 2019, the amount was $697,495. USBR is in the process of deducting further payments made by the city through September of 2020. The Bureau is relatively behind on their reconciliations. And so essentially we have close to late 2019 numbers, but those will come back in through as credits in the future. To the extent the city has made rate-related payments for USBR construction costs after the USBR calculation, USBR, as I mentioned, will credit the city later. But the city must make the lump sum payment to USBR within 60 days. And so under the new contract, the payment component for construction cost recovery is removed from USBR rates applied to the city on a monthly basis. And presently, the construction cost component is $20 per acre foot, which is based on the 2020 rates. This means the city will pay less for ongoing water because of the lump sum payment. But this will also be long-term as well. Staff is currently considering 2 alternatives to pay off the construction cost component. However, after furthering review and seeing the costs go down from when we originally had the discussions regarding the rates, is that we are looking at using available, we're looking at basically using interfund loans to be able to pay for this and then pay it back through, the rates that come through, the revenues that come through, instead of going after a bond for this particular amount of money that would be drawn out over a longer period of time. So we have attached the contract for the council's review. And the financial impact of using available cash through the interfund loan from the gas or sewer fund is to temporarily reduce the available cash during the time the loan is being repaid by the water enterprise. The minimum annual payment would mimic the bond payments that we kind of talked about previously, which could potentially be approximately about $38,000 per year. However, the objective would be repay that amount much faster to clear the accounting necessary between the funds. So hopefully that clears it up. But I think the really good news about this contract is that it is a long-term contract into perpetuity with a significant amount of stability for the city in terms of water deliveries in the future.
Okay, taking the money out of the existing contracts we have, is that going to put the city at risk at all?
Out of the, what contract? You said contracts?
You said we're going to take them out of our other funds.
It'd be interagency funds, yeah. So we spoke with Jasmine and looked at the available cash in different funds, and there is enough funds in those accounts where it will not affect the operations of the city.
And how long do you think it would take to pay those back?
We would have to look at that based on what our payment schedule, what a payment schedule would be established. This would be an additional item that would be brought back to the council for approval.
Oh, so you're going to bring this back then again?
Yes, my understanding this has to be brought back to the council. Is that correct, Jasmine?
That's correct. So the council will approve the inter-fund borrowing via resolution. And then in which, in the resolution, we will specify the repayment terms. And again, it's my goal to have this loan paid back as fast as we can so that we could minimize the city's debt and still maintain operations and maintain sufficient cash to run city operations.
Okay. And are other cities doing this?
What's that?
Are other cities doing the same thing?
Dan, do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Mayor. I assume you can hear me, Mayor?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, great. So Avenal and Huron and Westlands Water District are also entering into these agreements. The resolution tonight is to approve entering into the agreement. Then you will have a choice subsequently whether you use internal funding or you use Series 2021 bond funding to do the payoff. And the one thing that I want to make sure is clear is you're paying the money one way or the other. By making the upfront payment, the rates to USBR for monthly water will go down. So it's not like it's an additional cost. It's not an additional cost. The other comment I want to make that some people might be concerned about is a contract that goes to perpetuity. Well, in this case, for the city, it's a very, very good thing. You have one source of water, the Central Valley Project, and purchasing water from the USBR. And so, as Sean mentioned in his explanation, it's good for water stability for the city. It's good for evaluation when it comes to credit ratings, and it's good also when the bondholders look at it. I've mentioned this in the past, in the rate study work I've done, that this has been coming. We've been working on it for a couple of years. It's been a long process. So all of that to say is this is a very good thing for the city, and time is of the essence. The city will benefit from approval of this, the ability to sign it next week, such that it can be effective February 1st and the city can benefit from the new rates. But also in the next council meeting, there'll be the topic of Series 2021 bond funding. And the city really needs this done to help it with that funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Jasmine, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
What do you think about this, Jasmine?
I think it's a great thing. I think long-term, it's going to be of great benefit to the city. I mean, it doesn't come to the city. I mean, $600,000 sounds like a lot of money, but As Dan mentioned, we are going to realize those savings over the coming years, and it does guarantee our water supply, which is critical, as USBR is our only source of water. And originally, we were tossing the idea about financing these funds within the 2021 bonds. And after further discussion with Dan and Sean, we all decided and thought it was best to finance it upfront from city cash flow. As you're aware, the city has good cash flow now, and we're able to pay this off rather than financing it for 10 or 30 years and including it as part of the 2021 bonds. I, like much of you, want to minimize bond debt or any kind of debt for the city. So if we go out and finance some of this stuff through our own internal funds, I think it puts us in really good shape, and it does lower our bond debt over time.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Jasmine. Okay, is there any other ones that anybody would like to pull or anything? Oh, I'm sorry.
I believe 13 was pulled.
Okay, 13, adopt
Adam?
Resolution 3998 and Resolution SA 337, approving a bond expenditure agreement between the City of Coalinga and the Coalinga City Successor Agency. Go ahead.
Adam, did you have a question in particular?
Yeah, so this is basically extra money that we have from a bond or something like that?
That's correct. So the city issued RDA bonds in 2009, and they were series A, B, and C. And each series had a specific purpose. Series A and C bonds were specific to the redevelopment agency. Series B bonds were specific to the low to mod housing, which is now called housing successor. These funds were actually held by the fiscal agent prior to when we refunded the 2009 bonds back in 2018. And through that refunding process, these unspent project funds were returned back to the city, and they've been sitting in our possession. However, the appropriate or the only use for these funds is to spend them on the projects identified on the use of bond proceeds. That's also attached in the agenda item. And so Sean and I met, and one of the only projects that is listed on that use of bond proceeds is street maintenance or street rehabilitation. And so the project identified was the reconstruction of the 3,000 linear feet of Phelps Avenue. And so that's just a continuation of the most recent Phelps Avenue project. And we do need successor agency approval tonight to send these funds or take these funds from the successor agency and hand them over to the city of Coalinga, which is same organization, two separate entities. And then once it's approved by the successor agency tonight, it's going to go before the oversight board at their January meeting when they approve the ROPS and allow the city to use these funds for these project funds as originally intended.
And how much funds are available? Like 300,000 plus?
Yeah, so the exact amount is 347,864.
And how did we come up with Phelps needing another rehabilitation done? They just had a huge swath of Phelps was done already. How do we come up with them again?
Well, there was a project list that was approved by the council, and one of the projects that was included was Phelps Avenue. From an economic, from an economic development standpoint, we wanted to make sure we were staying consistent with the projects that were listed, because a lot of the other projects on that list have already been completed as part of that bond issue or part of the bond funding. And so knowing that that amount will not in fact actually complete Phelps Avenue, as the road is completely deteriorating. And as now with the hospital opening up, it does serve somewhat of an economic development component to help service the community on that end near the hospital, as the road is failing as you're entering the hospital and exiting the hospital, that this would help with design and cover some of the construction costs, because it is about 3,000 linear feet that we would probably have to go after grant funds to augment, which actually make it a very competitive application. And typically when you're using federal funds, they have to be on arterial type streets, which would trigger certain streets like Elm or Sunset or Forest or Phelps, which is an arterial street. And so recognizing that we probably will need additional funding, that we looked at an arterial street. That was kind of the methodology behind looking at that. Just seeing the road, one of our major arterials that's heavily traveled on that kind of farther east end of Phelps, to rehabilitate that. And that'll be basically just a grind in place and overlay. No medians, no landscaping, none of that.
So if I remember correctly, we already invested about $1.3 million in Phelps Avenue. Is that right?
That's just from Elm to Post of Chêne.
All right. So I think we need to start investing that money somewhere else besides Phelps Avenue. Only a small neighborhood out there and nothing else. We're missing all kinds of parts of town. I'm looking at the bond right now. It says agency approved 5-year implementation plan, such as, but not limited to, the following, and then it's listed there, Phelps. Look at the street between Chevron and the museum. It's absolutely deplorable. Look at the street right outside Union Bank. I could take a swim if it started building up water in some of those potholes. Phelps needs to go in the back, okay, in my opinion. Phelps has had a huge investment, 1.3 million. We saw all the stuff that they've done on Phelps. It's time to move that money somewhere else, in my opinion. If it says such as, but not limited to, well, it seems like we could fit in that street in particular in between the museum and Chevron.
Okay, the only thing that I think Phelps, I'm looking for Phelps, is our ambulances go down that road right there to the hospital, and the hospital is brand new and again, and it's opening, and that road is right in front of the hospital is getting really bad, and to the trailer park and to the hospital, but we could put it on the back burner, but it's still going to be needed to be done. And if we have some really, if it ever rains, I mean, it's going to get real bad. And I understand the road, that's one of our worst roads in town is by the museum.
I was saying we're approaching $1.7 million in improvements from Phelps for one neighborhood. There's more than one neighborhood in Coalinga.
Exactly.
And 1.7, we don't have all that kind of money for all these things. So we're at 1.7, we're approaching 1.7 million for less than, is that even a mile? It's not even a mile. I think the funds need to go somewhere else. And I think we need to, that's just my opinion. I mean, if you don't want to overrule me, fine. But we have way bigger, worse, or way worse roads than that section of Phelps.
Yeah, and staff will go whatever direction the council would like. We just kind of brought up that project because it was on the original project list or within the scope of the original project list. So, but the council, based on the document that's attached, would, and with all the other projects being satisfied, that would be, I mean, my understanding would be that they would be able to, I mean, you guys would be able to look at other locations. We could definitely do that.
I would just like to add, this item is going, the agreement itself doesn't mention a project particularly. However, when I do go before the oversight board on the 21st, they're going to want to know specifics. They're going to want to know how these funds are spent. So we'd have to identify a project. I'm not sure if, you know, I don't know what the direction of the council is, but when I do go before the oversight board for their approval, they're going to want to know how we want to spend these funds, because they too have their eyes on these funds, thinking that they could get a piece of it.
If we're looking at the feet for Phelps plus a bunch of sidewalks and ADA requirement stuff, it seems like that small section between the Chevron and museum, that's not 3,000 feet. Seems like we could take care of that within the same amount of money. And that's not in my district, by the way. So I'm not thinking I'm taking this money in my district.
Jasmine, we just need a new project description prior to the meeting. Is that what you would need?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be anything formal. It would be better if we had formal approval from the council on what we plan to spend those funds, just because it looks better to the oversight board that we know exactly how we're going to spend those funds.
Okay.
But I mean, if the council needs more time to decide on a particular project for these funds, then we would just need some sort of direction so that I could provide that information at the oversight board meeting when I present this item.
Yeah, so we could do either a project scope if the council so chooses tonight. I know, knowing the time, if that's the consensus of the council to do the property near Chevron, we can probably get that done with the full amount of money. Phelps would have probably required additional funding. So, I mean, you might be able to do it with that entire amount of RDA funds. If that's what you have, we were already have in the works some preliminary inspections being done by our city engineer on those parcels, on those road sections between Forest. We're looking at basically 7th Street, 6th Street, 3rd Street, and 2nd Street between Forest and Durian throughout that whole segment. So there's a bunch of small blocks that we're looking at. So if we look at a couple of those sections, we can probably at least identify 2. So it's more than what the money is. So if we run out, then we run out, but at least we get part of it done. And then the remaining can be done through other local funds. Because that's kind of what our long-term plan was for those areas, recognizing the condition of those roads.
So that means you're gonna do the area between Chevron and the museum?
Yeah, we could use that as a scope if the council so chooses. We could do that.
And you don't need any extra money, but you would, if you did Phelps, you would need extra money, so.
Yeah, Phelps would require additional funding. And so that's why we chose an arterial, because of the fact that it would probably require additional federal funding through either STBG or CMAQ funds, which would then limit us to arterial roads. But if you want to choose going with the property on 7th, I think it's 7th Street between Forest and Elm, we could probably do that. It's going to require a lot of excavation and grading. So prior to even construction activities, so we probably could do that within the scope of the funding we have.
Those sidewalks are pretty bad there, right? Also.
Yeah, no, it's going to require a lot. The grades are really bad, so we could probably get that project started relatively quick because I already have the engineers. It's already on their radar.
That's by the daycare, right?
Baker Museum?
No, it's between across the street from the museum.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because EMS, I mean, fire and ambulance go through there too, and
oh yeah,
you wait a little bit more, those little patches ain't gonna last nothing. Yeah, so I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
Mayor.
does that mean we can go ahead and on 13 adopt that, but with a different project?
That's 100%. That's exactly what you want to do.
Okay.
And all you need to do is define the project. You define it by the streets that you want to cover. And I think Sean has laid out what those are.
Yeah. Okay. Does everybody have that? Yeah. Okay. Is there any other ones we'd like to pull or anything? Okay. I'd like to, does anybody like to vote on a different one by itself or anything, or everything together? Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion for to accept the consent calendar?
You want to do that.
I'll make the motion with the change to 13.
Right. And Sean, what were the streets again?
It should be, I was actually just double checking since for the record, I want to make sure I'm getting it right, but it should be 7th Street between Elm Avenue and Forest.
Thank you.
Okay, so I make the motion to pass the consent calendar And on number 13, to change the project to the street on 7th Street between Elm and Forest.
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion is second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Atkinson,
Aye.
Councilman Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilman Singleton,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Horn,
Aye.
Mayor Ramsey.
I vote aye. Okay, we'll go to item number 6.2. Discussion, direction, and potential action items, funding a third ambulance for the fire department. Adam, did you bring this one up too?
Yeah, so this is my agenda item where I'd like to see a third ambulance come to Coalinga. It's going to require a little bit of work. The chief has laid out some things, and the reason I brought this forward is one, you go down to the fire station and see how often the second ambulance is gone. And when that second ambulance is gone, that means people in town are waiting for medical care. Two, we lose out on a lot of revenue when American Ambulance comes in here to take someone away. That could come back to our fire department, our general fund. Three, right now waits at hospitals are incredible. It's hard to get in right away. So anytime an ambulance comes from Coalinga and goes to the hospital, they have to sit there until that patient gets a room. And correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but they do sit there until the patient gets a room.
Yes.
And that can be hours upon hours.
We're averaging about 2.5 to 3 hours right now with
That's
the
once
pandemic.
you get there.
Yes, sir.
We're not even talking about the drive over there.
Correct.
So we're talking there, we could be gone for up to 5 to 6 hours sometimes, and sometimes even longer. Lately, since the new hospital opened, you've had, how many, do you have any idea how many transfers you've had from there?
We've had 25 transports in the last 30 days.
25 transports in 30 days. 25 times the ambulance is left, and we were down an ambulance. And one of the things that brought this up was in my job, I spend time arresting people. And when they do need to be medically cleared, I go to the hospital. And last time I had to get someone medically cleared after we tased them, we had to take them to the hospital. We couldn't get in, and guess who's there? Coalinga Fire Department. How long were you here, guys? Oh, we've been here for hours waiting. And this is like this all the time. And this is taking, I think it's best for Coalinga if we do get a third ambulance.
I think that would be a great idea. Before the hospital closed, there was an incident. We were playing soccer out there. I have a brain tumor. So I got hit with the ball, ended up with a seizure. There was no ambulance. And I guess, I was passed out, and I guess we had to wait at least 30 minutes to get medical. And I would hate to see somebody lose their lives because, we have no extra transport. And you're right, the ambulances are there all the time. They don't leave. And so I think that would be a great idea, and it wouldn't hurt the city. It would benefit the city and the citizens of Coalinga were to have a third transport.
You're right. And let me also add that we can get this done without even dipping into the general fund. We can actually pay for this for, I think, 15 years without ever having to touch the general fund. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay. So we can dip into our IGT fund, which is about 5.5 million right now. We have plenty of money there for it. We would have to hire about 6 to 7, six firemen, all paid. EMS or paramedics, which would cover, EMS and paramedics would cover IGT.
Correct. IGT can only be used for healthcare services,
Right.
which is only paramedics and EMTs, non-firefighters.
So we have $5.5 million sitting there. We can get a third ambulance up. Also with that third ambulance, we're going to start bringing in revenue that we weren't getting because we're missing out with American Ambulance. So Chief, I probably took a bunch of what you're going to say, but take over.
Okay. So as Councilman Atkinson said, I did prepare a presentation at his request for this future agenda item. So when I was putting this together, I was trying to determine what's the purpose of it. Well, I wanted to give you some information on the benefits of the additional ambulance, how many missed calls are in our response area, focusing mainly on Coalinga and Huron, the potential revenue from increased calls and from the IGT, GMT reimbursement, and then what the cost would be to staff an additional ambulance, including personnel, apparatus, and equipment. One quick disclaimer, if you're following along, my PowerPoint is updated with actual end of 2020 numbers. When the staff report was due, it was still middle of December. And so my PowerPoint has the actual end of calendar year numbers, just to let you know. So what are the benefits of a third ambulance? Well, number one, and most importantly, is to increase ambulance service to the community. As Councilman Atkinson said, it will support the demand from Coalinga Regional Medical Center, all the interfacility transfers we have been running since they have been open. It will increase revenue, not only from the ambulance billing, but also the IGT reimbursement and the GEMT reimbursement that we receive from federal funding. One of the other main things and most important thing here for the community is it will maintain an effective firefighting force, which will allow us to meet our Cal OSHA 2-in, 2-out requirement. Essentially, that is anytime you have firefighters entering an IDLH atmosphere, which is whenever they have to put on a breathing apparatus and enter into fire conditions, you have to have 2 people outside. Currently, the way we are running, our ambulances are always gone, leaving us with 2 people back in the station to cover for fire calls, and we cannot meet that requirement. We have to wait for our auto aid engine to arrive, which is approximately 12 to 14 minutes out.
Let me just repeat that so we understand. If both ambulances are gone, and a fire pops off somewhere, how many people from Coalinga Fire Department are going to go to that fire?
2.
2 people.
So, and it'll also address future positioning in Huron, which I believe is important and will be addressed in this presentation. But getting the third ambulance and then addressing that in the future will be important. So here's our current staffing as we sit right now. We have 6 per shift, 6 minimum. So we have 1 captain, 1 engineer, 3 firefighter paramedics, and a firefighter EMT. When one call goes out, I'm going to lose 2 firefighter paramedics. When the second call goes out, I'm going to lose 2 more, a firefighter medic and a firefighter EMT. That leaves us with 2 to cover the city, which is, once again, unable to provide the 2-in, 2-out OSHA requirement for IDLH. I ran some quick numbers before I came here, and we are about 25% of the day we have both ambulances in quarters. So 75% of the day, both ambulances are gone, either 1 ambulance or both ambulances during that period. So if we were to do a third ambulance and do non-safety staffing using IGT money, we would be able to keep 4 firefighters to cover the city the majority of the time, because the percentage of times that we run a third ambulance call at the same time both ambulances out is only 15%. So that would leave us a 4th firefighter or 2 additional firefighters to make for 85% of the day.
Chief, just for a second, could you explain the non-safety staffing?
Yeah, I was going to get to that in a couple slides,
Oh,
but
okay.
I can do it now if you'd like.
Or either way.
Okay, so non-safety staffing is basically single certification employees. They would just be paramedics and just be EMTs. They would not be firefighters. And that's important because IGT can only fund a single certification paramedic and EMT. We wouldn't have the funding in the general fund to hire firefighters currently. So that's why it would be important to do a non-safety program and use IGT money for that. And I'll get to that in a couple other slides. Does that answer your question, Mayor?
Yes, thank you.
So I broke it down even further to kind of show you guys now the missed calls. This is just 2020. These are the missed calls. As you can see on the map, C01 is the city of Coalinga. Our ambulances cover 1,200 square miles outside of the city limits, all the way up to I-5 and Derrick area. And these are all of our zones. The missed calls by zones on the left-hand side, C01 is the city of Coalinga. Then C09 is Huron. C12 is essentially the state hospital and the prison. So I actually combined C01 and C12 together on my next slide for data, because that's essentially our city coverage, and our most call volume is out of that location. So when I say Coalinga, I'm talking about the actual city limits plus the hospital and prison. So I ran some quick call data to kind of show you a number of calls we've been running lately. 2019 is kind of an anomaly because the fire department was downstaffed to 4 people in 1 ambulance. So the numbers were kind of skewed when I ran just 18, 19, 20. Normally you only run 3 years, but I added 2017 to compare 17, 18, and 20, because that's more accurate, because the numbers are very skewed, only having one ambulance in 2019 when you had 2 ambulances in 17, 18, and 20. So you can see our total calls this year were 2,186 calls. 1,926 of those were EMS calls, which was 88% of our call volume was ambulance calls. That's up 6% from 19, obviously with only 1 ambulance, but 4% up from 2018 when we had 2 ambulances on our operations. The next one I just kind of broke it down, total call volumes by month, just to kind of show you the busy months and stuff like that, but the numbers are still the same. And then the next column is the missed calls that were in Huron and Coalinga during that time period, and the potential missed revenue loss. And I say potential because we never know until we actually run the call and receive the payment from the billing and the reimbursement from IGT. We can only predict so much. It's very hard to say, yeah, we would have lost this amount. It's kind of a prediction based off the data and the stats that we do have. So you can see in 2020, we missed 677 calls in Huron, 375 calls in Coalinga, which is that C1, C12 area, which is the city and the prison hospital. So out of those 1,052 calls, we missed 730 transports. And transports is where we get our money. That's where we get our funding and our payments is through transports. So potential missed revenue was $592,000 this year. And that's broken down into 459 transports in Huron and 281 transports that we missed in Coalinga. And roughly cost per transport is about $800 that we receive from the billing. So then I took that number and kind of broke everything down to show you, focusing just on Coalinga and Huron and the missed transports, 740 total missed transports. So this is the approximate revenue again. It's important to note that these numbers will increase with the hospital opening. Like I said, we have already seen 25 interfacility transfers in the last 30 days, and 10 of them have been out of county. When I say out of county, I mean out of Fresno County. We've gone to Bakersfield, Turlock, Merced, Modesto, and we even went to San Francisco. The transport to San Francisco, I lost 2 firefighters for about 11 hours. They were gone. And that's happened once, but it still happens. And it will continue to happen because that's where Coalinga transfers some of their patients. So we will continue to do that. Otherwise, the majority of our transfers have been Hanford and Fresno Community Hospital. So what would it cost for this program? And I'm sorry that one slide on the left is a little small. I might need to even put my glasses on. So what's the cost? Well, for this, we would need personnel, apparatus, and equipment, right, to put on a 3rd ambulance. Well, the good thing is we already have an apparatus and we already have the equipment. So we're just looking at personnel costs, salaries only, and running some rough numbers, approximately $300,000 to $350,000 per year for 6 personnel that would be paid for with IGT. We already have the ambulance. We already have all the equipment for the ambulance. And it would be a non-safety position, like I stated earlier, of just single certification paramedics and EMTs. The chart on the right, I broke it down and I put our starting balance of our IGT fund, and then the net new money we would receive from IGT reimbursement, which has been roughly $800,000 to $850,000 a year for the last 4 or 5 years. Our firefighter raises are coming out of this, so subtract $563,000 from that, and then add the single role cost. And I was very conservative and put $500,000 just as a number to show you that it's not going to be $500,000, but even with $500,000, we could fund this program for 15 years or more. And this, remember, this is not receiving any net new money from IGT, which we obviously are, because we would increase our call volume, which is going to increase our reimbursements and increase our things. So, so what are our options? Well, option 1 is we would hire full-time, 4896 schedule, which would be 2 days on, 4 days off, just like the firefighters run. They would be assigned to a shift, so A, B, or C shift, and they would run the first out ambulance. We would need to hire 3 paramedics and 3 EMTs. Option 2 is what we call a peak hour unit, and they only run 12 hours. so they only operate during your peak days and times, which for us would be Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. were our peak call days and hours. However, because it's only 12-hour shifts, most people are not going to quit their other full-time job. They're only going to work for us part-time and only pick up certain shifts when they can. So we would need additional personnel. So you're looking at 12 personnel, and we would need 6 paramedics and 6 EMTs, and possibly more depending on the scheduling and what kind of shifts they would pick up. So those are your 2 options. My recommendation is we do the full-time. We do the 24/7 coverage. It will increase revenue because we will have a 3rd ambulance available all the time. We will have more firefighters left to cover the city. And in my experience, full-time staff is easier to hire. They feel more a part of the department. They have a full-time job. They get to know all the firefighters, which leads me to the possibility of them being able to fill firefighter vacancies. If any of them have a fire academy and they are already employed as a city employee in this non-safety position, if we have an opening in the firefighter ranks, they could potentially move over to the firefighter ranks, and it would be a promotion from them. And most likely, this is a lot of what most of them want to do, is they want to be firefighters someday. So that would be a great recruitment for us to be able to say, yeah, we'll bring you on as a non-safety paramedic. And, you know, if an opening happens, you have the opportunity to move into a full-time firefighter position. And like I said already and stated, this IGT fund balance that we have, it can support the full-time staffing. So that concludes my presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions, guys? Chief?
Yes, sir.
Since your call volume is going to go up, you know, since we do have a large call volume, if we took all those, I'm not against this at all, but wouldn't we still just have 2 people at the station?
No, because
all 3 ambulances would be going out.
Right, but we only have, so when we ran our numbers today, there was only 15% of the day that both ambulances were gone and a 3rd call came in that we could not respond to. So that was only 15% of the time. So 85% of the time we would have 4 firefighters back at the station. And then we would be able to cover that other 15% that we're missing. Because they're not all 3 gone at the same time, they stagger. And so one will come back and we may have 2 in, and then we pop a call, and then we only have 1, and then maybe all 3 come back at the same time for a couple hours, and then they'll pop a double call and we'll keep 1. So it's very fluid and fluctuating. That's why we wanted to run some data for you guys to show you the percentage of times where everybody's gone and a 3rd call comes in that we cannot support.
Okay, but would there be any time when you would have?
Of course.
No, I know, but if you had 2 firefighters, I'm just kind of worried about the non fire personnel.
Well, the problem with that is we wouldn't be able to use IGT then, and then we wouldn't be able to fund the program.
Okay, because, but you guys will fix it where that won't happen. I mean, we'll probably use the IDT guys will go out first.
Yes, they're going to go out first.
And
They will be
we'll
assigned
have
to
the
the
other
first
guys.
ambulance all the time, every day. So we
Right.
can keep our firefighters on ambulance number 2 and ambulance number 3.
Yeah.
That is the purpose.
Yeah, I'm
of
not
the
against this
non-safety
at all,
program.
but I'm just trying to
And
bring up little
one thing to
things.
say, you know, the numbers show that, you know, $592,000 in lost revenue. Even if we had a 3rd ambulance and maybe even a 4th, we still wouldn't capture all those calls. We're not going to capture every
Right.
call. So I was being very conservative in trying to give you numbers that show you that we could still do it and be able to fund the program with the IGT.
Yeah. And I think
and
too,
the important thing is to keep more firefighters in the city.
and with the hospital, the more people that are starting to go to the hospital now, our volumes are gonna go even more.
Yeah, so in November, I believe we ran 169 calls. In December was 192 with the opening of the hospital. So.
Okay, I'd like to ask Marissa what she thinks of this.
I think it's a really good idea. If the direction of the council is to move forward, there will be some additional items that will need to come back to you for approval. A lot of them can be just on the consent calendar, like non-safety job descriptions that you'll have to approve and things like that. But we would need consensus from the council that that's the direction that you want to go so that we can do that work to bring the items back to you. But I think it would be beneficial. We haven't tried it yet. We know that We're not always going to be able to respond to every call, even with 3 ambulances, even if we had 60 ambulances. There's always going to be times where they're all going to be out. But I think now with the hospital being open, it is a great time to do it. And there's a way to do it with non-safety personnel, so it's a little bit of a lower cost. So it would be my recommendation that we move forward. And again, as long as you give direction and consensus that that's the direction you want to go, you're not finalizing anything tonight. You can still change your mind later because there's going to be other items that you'll have to approve related to it. But it is a lot of work for staff to do if you know that you don't want to do it. So we just need, you know, the consensus for people to sort of be on the same page.
Council? Consensus is go ahead and do it then.
I think in a matter of, we get this third ambulance with the hospital opening up, the bill round the coverage. I mean, if it comes out great, I mean, which I believe it will, maybe a fourth will come in. Let's see how we're doing with that. So, you know, I think it's a great idea to start right now instead of later.
And we have if we did this, we would still have a backup ambulance, right?
Yes, we currently have 4 ambulances right now, so if we put a third on, we'd still have a backup.
Yeah, and you need the backup, just in case.
Quick question, are the other 2 backups that you have now, are they ready to go to service like right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there won't be any additional cost then?
No, we have the ambulance and we have the equipment.
Just
I think the
personnel.
only thing that we have to buy is a bag to put some gear in, and that's it.
Okay, I think you've got your orders. Option 1 or 2, guys?
I just need to know what my direction is. What would you guys?
Option 1, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's the best one for us. Okay, thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Okay, we got item number 7, announcements, city manager's announcements.
Thank you. I do have a few. So, you know, each year we do the City of Coalinga Christmas gift program, and every year it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And this year we had, I believe we ended with 165 children registered. They all got a new jacket, a new pair of shoes, a new pack of socks, and at least 1 toy from their Christmas list. And then we had additional toys that were either donated or we purchased with monetary donations from community businesses and community members. We had tons of people that dropped off wrapping paper and gift bags and things like that. And so we had the police department and the fire department go out on Christmas Eve to the mobile home parks and the income-based apartments to hand out the toys that were donated or purchased with monetary donations. And we counted that day, Chief. I don't remember what we said. We had like a ridiculous amount of toys that went out that day.
900 and something, 960 or something like that.
Yeah. So the departments got together. Well, they actually did them separately. So the police department did the mobile home parks, and CHP went along with them. The fire department they were assigned 4 apartment complexes, but then ended up doing 4 more. And so they were a huge help. They distributed all those toys to the kids in the community. And so I just want to thank the police and fire departments for all of their help on Christmas Eve doing that. Both chiefs actually came in on Christmas Eve, which was their day off, to go out with their departments to do that. So I just wanted to say thank you publicly. And then we had the change of the council at the prior meeting. And I just wanted to say that for 4 years, I worked with Councilwoman Stoles, and for over 4 years, I worked with Mayor Lander, and I think they were both really great council members. I learned a lot from them, and I appreciated working with them, and I think that we have a good council now, and I just wanted to welcome the 2 new council members. And if you want to have tours of any city departments or anything like that, just let me know, and I'll get everything set up for you. And then I know Sean has an announcement that he would like to make right now.
Thank you, Marissa. Just a couple things, guys. I had received a phone call from Caltrans today, and I had been working with them on previous projects, in terms of some of the improvements. And I'm not sure if the council is aware, I think I put it in my monthly report, maybe I did, that Caltrans is going to be undertaking a pretty significant improvement project on Elm Avenue, Polk Street, and Fifth Street. So essentially from Merced on Jane down Polk to Fifth Street, and then Fifth Street to Elm, and then Elm Avenue all the way to the bridge at Cambridge. They're looking at a large scale sidewalk improvement project where they're going to make all sidewalks ADA compliant, drive approaches ADA compliant, and they are doing a complete grind and reconstruction of the highway in that entire section. I got a call today because, as some council members may know, the city completed an active transportation plan about 4 years ago, and one of the conceptual plans that was included in that plan that the city was going to undertake was a road diet along Elm Avenue from 5th to the bridge at Cambridge. And funding for this was substantial. And we had been working with Caltrans, knowing that they were going to be doing a large scale project in this highway segment. And they reached out to the higher ups under their, what they call their SHOP program. And we worked with them and they took our designs from the active transportation plan, and they were successful in obtaining $2.6 million to undertake that additional project as part of their large project, which I think that project now will add up to almost $17 million that they'll be investing here in the city within the highway segments on Elm, Polk, and 5th Street. So pretty exciting news. So we'll see that staff will be working with Caltrans on helping finalize those designs, as well as probably we'll probably bring a presentation back to the council within a month or so, kind of what that conceptual plan will look like with the safety enhancements, kind of creating more of a downtown feel through Elm Avenue rather than kind of a racetrack, as our mayor would attest, or previous mayor, sorry, Ron Lander would attest to, that works right there on Elm Avenue to help with those safety enhancements that we've been trying to accomplish for quite some time. And then just one other item, we were recently notified by the California Department of Housing and Community Development that we were originally on the outside looking in on our 32 unit of senior housing project on Walnut. And apparently one agency who received funds chose to use an alternative funding source. And so we became back in the mix, and we were awarded $5.1 million for that project. So after about 4 years, we're going to see that project go now that they have funding. The developer will be going after 4% tax credits. And then once that's approved, then they will move forward with the building permit process. So exciting news. Hopefully we'll see that project under construction by the end of the year. It'll be a 32 unit senior project, similar to the senior project that was built on Polk Street. So just wanted to provide the council those updates.
And just for the knowledge of the new council members, that will be across the street from the West Hills College dorms where that vacant lot currently is.
Okay, Sean, one question. The signage at Cambridge, is that going to wait until Elm Street is done?
The signal?
Yeah, the signal.
The signal is under construction. We have a little bit of a delay because the manufacturers are either behind or super slow on getting the poles delivered. So the poles are out quite a few weeks to get those poles in. The majority of all the street improvements are completed. So the curb ramps, the radiuses, all the underground is completed. It's just a matter of waiting on the poles and then waiting on PG&E, which we all know takes a long time, as we're still waiting for PG&E to illuminate the lights and energize the lights on Forest Street. So we're waiting on that. But no, most likely we'll see that signalization come up because Caltrans is undertaking their project. It most likely won't see construction until late 2022 or 23.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Marissa? Okay, Any council members to report anything?
First, I'd like to, give great thanks to everybody. It's a great room, and I'm glad that I'm here. I hear a lot of good things about everybody here, every single time. Being a former director at the Park and Rec, I just would like to see the rec and the city kind of work a little bit together. I know the city has a lot more, more things going on. But I'm just really happy that I'm sitting here with you guys right now, and I'm excited to work, move forward and work with every single person with you guys. I'm just happy, and I'm excited for the future.
Thank you. I just wanted to make an announcement that the schools down between Bishop and Dawson, they helped set up a memorial for all those kids and the lady that were killed there. And it was, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago that they did it. I went down there, and it was really nice. The TV station, one of the Hispanic TV stations were there, and a priest came and he did a prayer for everybody, and also one of the grandfathers of the kids, he was there. He's a minister, and he came over there and he thanked me for letting him put the church in. Remember the church at Rosie's that we okayed, that they were having problems with? He's the minister at the church at Rosie's and stuff. And then he also told me that I had forgotten all about it, but years ago I lived on Pleasant Street. It's like 20 years ago or something like that. And for about 2 months, he was my neighbor, next door neighbor and stuff, and the Ayala family. And the grandpa, he actually did a prayer at the thing. So he remembered me and stuff. So we started talking. So that was kind of neat. And then he told me who the kids were and all that, who everybody was. But that was a very sad day. And I know that everybody that saw that saw, and the GoFundMe page is still going. And the last time I looked, it was like 70,000 or something like that. It might even be more than that now, because that was about 2 days ago when I
think
looked
so.
at it.
Yeah, I think it's gone national.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's gone national, and
Yeah.
and it's I know it's a tragedy. One of the child's he was a baseball player, football player, and wrestler.
Oh yeah, they had the
Yeah.
deal today.
Yeah, so it's just I mean, like you said, it's beautiful how they set it up, and it's a hard hit for the town, for our community, and I don't know if the city, we've done anything for them, and I mean, if it's possible, I would like to see the city do something for them to reach out.
So we may be doing something. I've been talking with the school. I'm just not ready to publicly announce it yet.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else in council? Okay, then we go to mayor's announcements. I have none. I just wanted to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to be mayor again, and I'll do the best I can with the help of everybody here. And that's all I can say right now. And thank you guys for letting me sit down tonight. I don't know what happened to my back, but it's starting to feel better now. So does anybody have any future agenda items?
I got one. I'd like to kind of review some of our parks. And, so, unfortunately, with this COVID, some of our kids are suffering a lot from their activities. And we have a football team in Coalinga that ended up going to another league, but I wanted to see if we could revise the position when we play or practice at a field, see if anything could be done to stabilize a ground for any, not just football, but any sports, activities if anything happens like that. So I'd like to see that in the future agenda.
So you just like to talk about,
Yeah, to see,
If we
because I know there's, an ordinance about how to use the park and, I would just like, to see if we could come up maybe with something and trying to revise it and get it going for these kids, because, I mean, they had a blast in Fresno. We won 42-0. Congratulations to them. But also that park made $24,596 in one day in 7 hours. And a lot of course, a lot of cities, I know we wouldn't be able to support all the teams, but some teams or us were willing to pay the city to let us play or something.
yeah. Well, we could probably talk about it and then, but those are neighborhood parks.
Yes,
and
yes, yes. And they'll be at a,
In the beginning, we didn't want to have any teams like that because there are houses right there. And,
yes.
and then with leagues like that, they bring in PA systems, lights,
Yeah.
stuff
No,
like
we
that.
wouldn't.
So-
It's
No, we
just practice
can
right
talk
now. It's
about
just to
that.
revise the ground. for
Yeah, we can
practice.
talk about that.
Yeah,
but-
practicing and stuff like that, just for them to have something,
Right.
games. We
And
can
then
do.
hopefully our sports center will get open
Yeah.
and they can start using that. So, we'll,
Yeah, yeah,
you
because
know.
we did have, an agreement on practice, but I guess, with COVID, of course, it shut down.
Yeah, COVID stopped a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
it
so,
did, it really did.
Okay, we
Yeah.
could probably talk about that.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
anybody else?
I just wanted to, sorry, did I cut you off?
You have an announcement or?
I was just,
Agenda item?
I was just gonna let the new council members know, I'm not sure if you know how you can request future agenda items, so you can do it tonight publicly at the meeting, but if you get home and you think of something that you wanted to request and you forgot, staff sends out an email letting you know that you have until a certain date and time, and that's the cutoff for the next council meeting. So you can still, your process is, if you think of a future agenda item that you want, you would email myself and Shannon Jensen, who's our city clerk, and say, this is the future agenda item that I'm requesting. Sometimes it'll make it on the very next agenda if you submit it before the deadline, but if it's something that requires extensive work from staff and you submitted it 30 minutes before the deadline, it probably won't be until the next meeting. But I just wanted you to know that you're not limited to tonight, so if you think of something later, you can email it in.
Okay, that sounds good, thank you.
Okay, Adam?
So before I came, I thought to myself, how could I really make Ray mad? So I thought, oh, I know. I could have a reconsideration of the cannabis zone to Pacific Street. So I'd like to see that. And I know Ray's seething at the mouth right now. So see if we can rezone. You know what I'm talking about. Go from the 1,800 feet to whatever it is to Pacific.
1,000 feet, I think it was.
1,000 feet goes a little past it. So whatever it is at Pacific, basically, where I want to go.
On which side of the street?
Sean knows already.
Adam, it's already scheduled for the 21st. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it coming from the speakers. It's already set for the 21st of January.
Okay.
Because I think you had already requested it prior, so we've got it set up for you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm
Sean.
gonna go home tonight.
Anybody else?
Nah, not for right now. I'll put it in later.
Okay, we're going to be going into closed session. Conference with Labor Negotiations, Government Code 54957.6. City negotiators, Marisa Trejo and Mario Zamora. Employee organizations, Coalinga Police Officers Association.
And Mayor, we can actually pull 9.2.
And we'll pull number 2? Okay. And council, we're going to pull number 2 if that's okay. And close number 10 is another closed session. What's
That's just if there's anything to report out, and we don't anticipate anything to
okay.
report out.
That's right. Okay.
Marissa, do you know why we're pulling number 2?
Anybody else have anything? Thank you. Good night. And pardon me?
Say something, John?
Yeah. What? Marissa, did you say you were pulling number 2?
Yeah, I was told we no longer. I'm sorry, I was told we no longer need it.
Oh no, we do need it.
Okay, or do you have the documentation to do it for closed session? Because I wasn't
There-
provided with anything.
There's no documentation. It's just an authorization.
Okay.
It'll be quick.
Well, go ahead.
9.2.
Okay, I'll go ahead and read it.
Sorry.
Real property negotiations, Government Code 54956.8, conference with real property negotiators, property 100 East Elm Avenue, APM 071-162-01 and 071-162-02F, located in the city of Coalinga on the corner of Elm and Walnut. City negotiators, city managers, Marissa Trejo, city attorney Mario Zamora, negotiating parties, AMG and Associates, under negotiation, price, terms, and payment. That was that housing development that we were talking about earlier. Okay, with that, I'd like to adjourn.